What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Hudson Valley Brewery, and they're out of Beacon, New York, and this is their Silhouette, the apple cider donut variant. So they're calling this one a brunch-style sour IPA with apples and cinnamon. It comes in at 5% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review, this can is just over 5 weeks old. So it's been almost 4 years since I've reviewed a beer from Hudson Valley on the channel. The last one I reviewed was back in January of 2020, which is ridiculous. Why? Because over the past year and a half, we have actually started getting pretty decent distro of Hudson Valley stuff here in the Buffalo, New York area. And back when I reviewed the vast majority of the beers from them on my channel in 2019, 2020, we got almost zero in distribution. So kind of weird. I got to review more from them because I used to call these guys the kings of the sour IPA. Now, to be fair, it's been almost 4 years since I've had any of their beers, so I don't know if that's still the case. So when I saw this one, I was like, you know what, we're going to review it. And that's because I also love apple cider / apple cider donuts. Anything apple cider flavored, apple cider itself, I absolutely enjoy. So I thought, when I saw this one, I was like, we got to give it a go. This is perfect for the fall. And by the time you see this review, we're towards the end of fall, early winter, but whatever, it should be fine. Now, they also say on the good old intrawebs and also on tap that this one, I believe, is also brewed with vanilla, and then they are dry hopping it with Citra and Mosaic. Doesn't say it at all on the label, but I thought I'd mention it. I don't know if that's still the case. Maybe that's old information. Who knows? But I'm here to give this one a try. So the last one I reviewed, I forget what it was, but it was a pastry double IPA that kind of exploded on me. And it wasn't good. It was the worst Hudson Valley beer I had. So maybe that's why I haven't been drinking their stuff over the years, but who knows? So we'll see. Maybe this will win me back, and I'll review more from them as we hit 2024. Anyway, so yeah, this looks like, honestly, just like a generic hazy. Has a darker orange color. Can't see through it, murky, turbid. I can see the shadow of my hand, but nothing else. Had about a finger that is now a half finger of a bright soap sudsy looking head. Somewhat creamy, more soap sudsy. Hold up to the light. Yeah, you really can't see through it. And I'm using the upstate glass today because it's been a while since I've used it. Let's get a nose. Yeah, that smells fucking weird, but also delicious. Deliciously weird. Oh. All right, so first things first, huge cinnamon. And I'm getting a big red gum cinnamon, like definitely bubblegum cinnamon, which is fine because of the other notes in this beer, which basically apples. If you've ever walked through and this has happened to me recently going through like Trader Joe's, and I think it was actually at, was it Home Depot or Lowe's? I was walking through and they have like those cinnamon brooms that are like right in the beginning. You walk through, you're like, wow, this smells like a cinnamon candle. That's what I'm getting in the nose, like that kind of pungent cinnamon. But underlying, yeah, sweeter, like red, delicious apple. But why I said it was weird is there's an underlying, like, you can smell this is going to be tart and sour. It has that, like, funky kind of kettle sour nose. And I'm also getting a little bit of, like, citrus, probably from the Citra and Mosaic, like an orange, a white grapefruit. But honestly, as it opens up and I continue to smell on it, it just kind of smells like apple cider. Not specifically a donut, but like apple cider with a hefty dose of cinnamon in it. Or, let me take that back now, as I went back. It does smell like an apple cider donut, but more of the cinnamon sugary powder on top of like an apple cider donut. Or if you were just to get like a powdered cinnamon donut, just a regular one, not called apple cider donut, that's kind of what it smells like. I could see this going one of two ways. That cinnamon is too over the top, too candle-like, just not great. Or it's going to have that apple cider donut, kind of cinnamon donut vibe, and I'm going to love it. I just hope there is a decent tartness here. It's not too acidic, and it's also not too sweet. I want a balance here. We'll see. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. That's a fun experience. Wow, it takes your taste buds for a ride. It's like a roller coaster. Holy shit! It's very complex. It's quite tart, almost in the low sour realm. Yeah, I like this. How much do I like it? I don't know, but it's pretty good. Mine, this is higher side of light, lower side of medium, 5%. I think it makes it a little bit more drinkable because it is lighter. So it's not a heavy body. It's not weighing and bogging down the palate. The mouthfeel, pretty crisp. It's effervescent. It's spritzy on the tongue, but it's almost refreshing on the palate, if that makes any sense. The taste, I'm struggling how I want to break this down. So the first thing that hits me at the front is omnipresent. There is a firm tartness. There is a kettle sour. I don't know if it's just kettle sour from here, or they actually do like wild fermentation, but it definitely has a bright, vibrant tartness to it into a low sourness. Omnipresent front to back, little bit of like in the back of the jaw, kind of puckering. It's underlying, but it's also at times kind of like very, very noticeable. But anyways, so you can tell it's a sour beer. I wouldn't say specifically sour IPA, sour beer. At the forefront, though, I do get some citrus. I get like an orange. I get a little bit of a tangerine, white grapefruit. When they say brunch inspired, I don't know if they're talking from a standpoint of like they do want like, a citrus fruit kind of sour IPA with the apples and cinnamon. But if that's what they're going for, kind of up front, that's what I'm hit with. As it passes through, I get a nice like red delicious apple. It's not too big, but it's definitely like a sweeter red apple. But then it's like a Granny Smith mixed in with it because of the tartness. So it's like, oh man, it's a sweet apple. And then it's like, oh, it's a little bit tart. So like a nice mixture of different apples halfway through the palate. On the finish is where, like, again, it's a roller coaster. It finishes with, again, a firm sourness or a firm tartness and a low sourness. There is an acidity here that's not too big. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm going to have heartburn in a couple minutes, but it does have like a mild to moderate acidity. There is a little bit of like this nondescript earthiness I'm getting as well. Probably from the hops, but the finish is again cinnamon, but it's not like cinnamon big red. It's like a powdered, sugary kind of cinnamon finish where, again, you could say, a cinnamon donut. You could say apple cider donut. You could just say apple cider perhaps, but maybe with like an overbearing amount of cinnamon for an apple cider. Man, this is very different. This is a unique, enjoyable, different experience for me. First things first, I do enjoy this one. I'm going to drink the rest of it. It's really good. It's just, this is not that sessionable. I'm going to be one and done with that can for many reasons, but definitely the beer itself. It's kind of a mindfuck, if I'm being honest with you. It's a mindfuck. It's like these flavors don't go together, but they do. Yeah, I know it's terrible. I'm not great at beer reviews. It's been going for almost 6 years, got almost 2,000 reviews, and yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. You guys know this. It's fun. 5% you can't taste it. It's a fun beer. It's one of these beers that makes you think, and I don't get a ton of them as much anymore. And usually when a beer makes me think this much is some, big, 15% barrel-aged behemoth with like 3 different adjuncts, and it's just like, oh yeah, no, there's 7,000 flavors happening. Here, that's kind of the same thing, but it's in a 5% sour IPA. If I was doing this blind, I wouldn't call this sour IPA. I think I would just say this is a sour. I would definitely call it cinnamon. I don't know if the apple is there, but I might say pear. I might say something else. I would just say that for what it is, this is a very fun beer. And I would recommend trying this out to almost anybody. I don't love it, but I do thoroughly enjoy it. So, Silhouette from Hudson Valley, the apple cider donut variant. Here's what I'll say though. It doesn't taste exactly like an apple cider donut. So if you pick this one up thinking, and again, they don't say it anywhere in the label. That's what they just say on their like website, Instagram, and on Untappd. If you were to pick this one up because you look and say Brunch-style Sour IPA with apples and cinnamon, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, apple cinnamon kind of like beer, it does have that going on. It doesn't necessarily have the donut. There's no like doughy, bready, substantial like base donut vibe for my palate anyway. Maybe a slight breadiness to it, but I wouldn't say donut. So if that's what you're thinking, I would say probably still. And now, as I say that, I have a little bit of vanilla on the back of the palate. So maybe this is brewed with vanilla, like I said. I don't know for sure. All I know is this is pretty good. It's not amazing. I'm happy I picked it up, and I'll probably grab more from them in 2024. Anyway, Hudson Valley, their Silhouette apple cider donut. I'm going to give this a high 4 out of 5 and go 4.1. I think it's a fun beer. I can't go much higher than that just because I don't love it. And I feel like to really thoroughly enjoy beer, that's when they start getting into like the 4.25 range. For me, this is tasty, this is enjoyable, but the 4.1 is the highest I can go on this one. Price point and availability, a little bit sideways. Usually when these beers show up in my neck of the woods, they're $6 to $7. This was $6.99 a can, so higher side of the realm. $7 for a can of this. Would I pay that again after having this? I would not. Would I pay it to try a different variant? I would. But it is pricey. Don't get me wrong. It's $7 for a 5% sour IPA with a couple adjuncts. Yeah, it's pricey, but beer's pricey in general. So I'm not mad at it, but I wish it was like more like $5 a can. The availability, I don't know with Hudson Valley. I have no idea. I didn't look anything up in terms of their availability. I would imagine they get throughout New York State at this point. You probably can buy stuff from their brewery. Maybe they ship in New York State. Maybe they ship outside of the state. Maybe you see them on Tavour. I don't know. But I would highly recommend checking them out if you like sour IPAs, even though this drink's more of like a strict sour as opposed to an IPA. And considering this is relatively it's quite fresh, actually, just over 5 weeks old. Yeah, I'm really not getting a substantial hop character, but a lot of their beers I don't, especially if they have adjuncts in them. So yeah, we're going to shut it down. So if you've had this one before or anything within their Silhouette series, post in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Have you had any kind of apple cider / apple cider donut in your past? If so, let me know what your favorite is. I always like trying different beers, so if I can get my hands on it, maybe I'll give it a review. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review. Until the next one. Cheers. Oh, one thing I did mention, while this is tart and acidic, after drinking, I probably have taken down like 5 or 6 ounces. I would say that I'm not going to get heartburn from this, and the acidity and the tartness level is probably perfect for what they're going for. So if that's a concern as well, I think it's fine. Anyway, cheers.